All right, everybody, welcome back. Oh my goodness, today's guest I've known for very long. Our story of how
So
we met,
crazy.
very exciting. Melody, hello, welcome.
How are you, Bruce?
Doing
It's so good to see you,
incredible.
honestly.
Yeah, well, let's begin. Where are you right now? Because most people, I think, during COVID, they've really stayed in their spots, but you have made some crazy moves recently. Let's dive
Oh,
into that.
yeah. So I'm in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, and I
Hmm.
actually moved here before COVID. So it's been like
Hmm.
2.5 years almost now. So pre-COVID, like I was just out.
Yeah. What was the because you're originally from Virginia, right? Just
I
right
am.
down the
Should
street.
we talk about how we know each other, by the way?
Let's do it. Let's begin there, and then we'll tie
Oh my
everything in.
God,
So,
yes. Okay,
Melody,
so
begin.
Amanda, my sister, probably will kill me for this, but
Oh wow. Oh, wow. It's okay. I
20
mean,
years old. I was 20 years old, so I'm 28 now. And we met on a cruise ship going to Bermuda. Bermuda, right?
to Bermuda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we all met one night. My sister was steaming drunk and she kissed you.
Well, let's say
Oh my God. She's
passions were
literally
high.
going to pop in my
Pa-
ass for that one.
Passions were definitely high. I will say that. And I mean, it's a cruise. Everyone's having fun, and you're in the middle of the ocean, and just very beautiful
Totally.
vibes. Yeah.
Salty water. Never know what's going to happen.
Right. Right. Well, we were also. It was me and a friend of mine, Samuel, and then you were there with your family
Yeah.
and your younger sister, Rosie. We also we're all hanging out together, and we're all just
Yeah.
really enjoying it. Yeah.
And we've managed to keep in touch for over 8 years now. That's
Yeah.
unreal.
Incredible. Yeah. And we
You're
had met up. What was that? 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, 3 years ago you came down to Virginia on a road trip,
For
right?
yeah. I think it was right
But
before New
I saw you
Year's.
one other time, did I not? Or did I? Did we
No, I
not?
think that's actually it. So it was that, and then the visit to Virginia, because then the next morning we had breakfast with your family, friends, all this stuff
Yeah.
at this spot. Yeah.
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 So wild. I
Very
can't believe
well.
like life just it's so crazy to whenever I think about all the things that have happened in life. It's so crazy.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, no, this is definitely I mean, this is up there, I'm assuming, right? Because you find a way to connect with someone in a short little interaction, and then down the road, wait a second, we have that base. We don't see each other frequently, but you still have that kind of relationship that you've
I
managed to
know. It's
foster and
so
build.
wild. And you've done so much with your life like since then. And I feel like I
Oh,
have too.
well, touche,
And like you're
touche. Same
honestly,
to
you're
you.
so inspiring and I admire you for all the things that you've done. Like
Oh,
you've
well,
done
thank you
so
so
well for your
much.
life.
I
Like
mean,
I
Melody,
honestly
I
whenever I speak about you, I'm always like, Bruce is the shit. Like you are
oof.
awesome. And you're gonna change the world just by being you. That's
Mm,
fact.
mm. Well, I'll tell you, no pun intended, but that's like a music to my ears. That sounds like a melody to my ears. But no,
Amazing.
incredible. So let's talk about for yourself being someone who was really based in Virginia your entire life, and it seems that you caught this bug, I'll say, but more so an inspiration to not only want to travel, but to live life more on your terms. Whether that's who you're working for, what you're doing, how you're spending your time, where you're living. How did that all begin, and what's been the catalyst to really get you going?
So, growing up, I was always very kind of like independent. And I think my parents always gave me the freedom to be just like who I am. And they always inspired me to just, my dad, he literally raised me and he would say, like, growing up all the time, do what you love and you'll literally never work a day in your life.
Hmm.
Just follow your passion. Like, don't worry about this and that. Just literally whatever makes you happy, just follow it. And so we also, my mom loves to travel as well. My dad, somewhat, but my mom loves to travel. And so I think just over time, growing up, like also I was a cheerleader my entire life, a competitive cheerleader, and we would travel to different places. And I
Hmm.
just remember on these trips, I would just be so inspired by new places and meeting new people and just seeing different things. And
Yep.
so as I got older, I was just like, what makes me the happiest? And traveling was just that. And
Hmm.
so I feel like I was at a point where I personally, like I just followed my passions throughout life. Like after high school, I knew I didn't want to go to college. I was just a little social butterfly, and I knew I just wanted to get straight into like a trade. And I ended up stumbling into the salon, and I was like, "This is what's meant for me to do." So I started doing that, and at a young age, I feel like I just like I was always really good at saving, and I became decently successful by an early age, at least for in my eyes. And from there, I was like, I'm tired of waiting around for other people. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna do this by myself. And so I just
Hmm.
started traveling the world by myself. And one thing led to another, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go live in another country. Why, like,
Yeah.
why just keep traveling? Let's go like pick up our lives and go
Yeah.
see what else
Yeah.
is out there and just literally dive into different cultures. And it's been unreal.
Yeah, so because you've been able to see, I mean, this journey more so began what? I think 20, because you said you're 28 now, so what was it, 22? I think you started really this movement.
When I really started traveling,
Yeah.
yeah, I think my first solo trip was probably when I was 22,
Hmm.
honestly.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
the topic of that is so interesting because, I mean, at least in the States, we have the culture of you turn 21, there's a sense of independence. And when you're 22, typically you finish school and then it goes, all right, let's travel just everywhere, which is what I
yeah,
did.
you know what? You
Yeah.
know what? Actually, for my 21st birthday,
Okay.
me and my best friend in the world, Corey, shout out to you, Coco, if you're watching this.
She's watching. She's
Um,
watching. She's watching. Or maybe listening. Maybe listening.
yeah, yeah, maybe listening. But so she we took our 21st birthday trip to Las Vegas, and that was the first time I had really taken a trip without my family. And then I realized, like, oh, I can do these things by myself. Like, I don't need someone to hold my hand. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think just one thing, like, you know, the domino effect after that, just one thing led to another, the
Yeah.
next trip and the next trip, etc. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it starts really building momentum too. And it's really when you get that bug, it just sort of builds. So the first time
totally,
I had ever left the country was 16, which was a really massive event for family and stuff like that. But then it's at that 22 age, finish college and the typical, yeah, let's backpack throughout Europe and stuff like that. Which I will
yeah,
say a lot of fun. Not I mean, definitely exciting and could be glamorous, just you learn so much, right? Because you have all of your how do you say? You have all the externals are changed, right? So really you figure out in a new external environment, who are you internally? How does
right,
Melody transfer to the culture of the UAE? How does she act when she's about to go on a trip to a whole nother country, right? How do you even navigate that? And did you find issue with identity? Did your identity shift a lot or was it amplified for yourself?
oh my goodness, I would say amplified. Like, I
Mm,
would say I've always been very, like, I am who I am, like, unapologetically myself. But I
yeah.
think since I started taking these trips and traveling, and especially the past 2.5 years, like living out here in Dubai, it's been amplified. Like, you just like learn so much about yourself and like how you handle situations, or like I feel like maybe even in the beforehand, like this is such a like minute thing, but like I would maybe react to different situations way differently, and
Mm.
now I like try to respond instead of react.
Oof.
Like,
Okay, hold
you
on. We gotta slow down there. Really clarify that point because that's something that I've spoken on as well. So respond, react. Where's the
yeah,
difference? What? How do you go about doing that?
like, so if I'm trying to think of like an example, just day to day, like even for example, living in Dubai, living literally across the world from where my family is at. I don't
Mm,
have anyone. Like, I came out here alone. I didn't know anyone. I had never been here before. I don't have, if something goes wrong, I can't call my mom or my dad and be like, "Mom, come help me." Like, if
mm.
something goes wrong, instead of just, and I can't even think of like a specific example, just
Yeah,
day to
just on
day
the day to
life. It's like,
day. Yeah.
yeah, day to day life. Like, it's just life that happens. And it's like, instead of reacting, I feel like maybe in the
Mhm.
past, whenever before I've like learned lessons and like been
Yeah.
on my own, I would maybe just react to the situation. But now I just take a deep breath and I'm like, how should I respond to this instead of reacting?
Wow.
Like,
That's maturity right
instead of
there.
getting
Yeah.
like an emotional reaction. And
Yes.
people always tell me you're so chill. How are you so chill? But I'm like, especially in a situation that really is out of your hands, or like that you can't really control, it's like, why sit and make it worse or dwell? Like, it's
Mm,
okay. You know,
yeah.
about how can we
Mm.
handle the situation without reacting immediately? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so often when there's a trigger, not an event that triggers you, but any stimulus, it's what's the response, right? And between the two,
Right.
there's always a choice that you can make. So figuring out when the stimulus comes, okay, how am I going to respond? Am I going to be in a state, a state of mind where you're more susceptible to things that happen that can sway the way you behave? For example,
Totally.
is let's say if you're about to go into a meeting with a few friends and before that, you were driving and someone almost crashed into you. A dog, you stepped in dog shit or something, and someone cut you off, something like that. The way you're responding to that, or that the state of mind you're in, is going to affect how you interact with the people you're about to meet. right?
Completely agree.
Now the
Completely.
difference
And
though,
those everything that you just said too is
yeah,
so like some people would freak out. Me, I would just be
exactly.
like, it's all good in the hood. You know what I mean?
It is all good in the hood, and because you
It
realize
is.
what good will that do, right? And
Right, exactly. I'm not gonna let a tiny little situation affect the rest of my day. I'm not gonna transfer that
right.
energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, what do you do? Because I think what happens is when the events are smaller, it's easier to navigate and mitigate. What happens when they become bigger? So let's say you lose your passport or your phone gets stolen or just something crazy because that's happened to me. Not the passport, thank God, just other things.
Oh my God, I
And
was gonna say I'm leaving in the morning too. I would actually die if that
I think
happened.
before we continue this, do you know where your passport is right now?
I do, it's on the floor, literally right
Oh
there.
goodness, be careful.
It's
No,
on the
for sure.
floor right there. I can see it physically. Thank God.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be a disaster. So then how would you react? What would be your process? How do you internalize this event? Because you have an incredible adventure lined up, you're very excited, and it's easy for the little things to not bother us. However,
Yeah.
this would be rather large. How would you navigate with this?
Oh my. If someone, you know what? I actually, my first year in Dubai, I was doing real estate.
No
Because I
way.
literally,
Wait, I didn't know that. That's
oh
cool.
my God, yes. Oh
Wait,
my God. A
what?
lot of people don't know this. A lot of people
Well,
don't
I
know that.
mean, tell us. Let's hear it.
We can,
That's
okay,
exciting.
so we'll pause on, we'll do the backstory and then we'll get back into
Let's
what
do
would
it. Let's
happen
do
if
it.
the phone got stolen because I have a similar situation.
Yeah.
So, yes, so I, first of all, I admire my mom so much because she's a very business-minded woman. And so she's always been like into investing. And so she bought this property a long time ago and she's been renting it out to like college kids for like years. But she always had a dream of like renovating the house and then moving into it. And she ended up doing that. But I always admired that. And I've always been kind of the same way. Like I want to invest, I want to invest. So real estate's always something that I've been interested in.
Mm,
So when I decided that I wanted to move to Dubai, I was like, why not just change my entire life and my career and give it a
mm,
try? So I kind of took the first job that I could get in the company that I went to. Wish I never went to them, but that's a whole nother story. Um, but I told myself, I'm going to move to Dubai. I'm going to do real estate. I'm going to stick to one full year. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Or if I love it or hate it, then we'll reevaluate the situation at the end of one year. But I'm going to push through one full year. So I did. I came out here and I was doing rentals on the Palm Jumeirah, which is pretty dope when you think about it. Like
yeah.
to just, I mean, it's like the eighth wonder of the world, technically. Like
Wow,
to,
wow.
in these unbelievable villas and like I actually, at the time in 2020, me and my colleague did at the time the biggest rental on the Palm Jumeirah
Oh,
in 2020.
congratulations.
It's been
Oh,
it's been wildly exceeded. It's
woo.
been wildly exceeded like times 1,000
Sure,
since then.
sure.
But yeah, we did a 5-year contract and it was like I think 5.6 million. It
Mm,
was unreal. It was crazy. They wrote an
yeah.
article about it too.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
but like I loved real estate. I did and I learned a lot, but also Dubai real estate is completely different than anywhere else in the world and like ultimately it was the best thing I ever did for myself too because I realized what my dad said, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your
Never
life
work a
and
day. Yeah.
what I really loved is and what I really love is doing hair. So I was like 2021 when I come back from Christmas, I'm going to go back to doing hair. So I started back doing hair. But during 2020, I had, I mean, it was like I said, I moved out here alone, had to figure everything out. When I look back, I actually don't even really know how I did it because I didn't know enough.
Right.
Like I did very minimal research. I literally, when I get something in my mind, I can be kind of like rash decision. And I got it in my mind and I packed my stuff within like weeks and I left and I
Mm,
moved out here. So I didn't really do much research. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I just kind of threw myself in with the wolves, and it probably was the best way because that's how I learned things, anyways. But that year, when you're doing real estate, you kind of have to have a phone for that. So I had two phones, and literally in one,
one for the plug and
one for the
one.
bitches and one for the hoes.
All right, this one's new. I like that though. That's good too.
But yeah, I had two phones, and literally in 1 week, and this was like all right, I think right after lockdown had ended as well, both of my phones broke. Like
Oof.
somebody actually broke both of my phones, like literally one drowned in a pool and the other one was smashed against a wall,
Oh my
like
god.
on accident. But
Mm.
yeah, so both of my phones broke and I was like, this was like the start. Like this is how, I don't know, the way I handled the situation was I just went and bought a new phone and I was like, there's literally nothing that I can do. I can't go back in time. I can't change the situation. It is what it
Mm.
is. And you know what? I just had a friend over and I was telling her, I lost so many photos over the course of like 3 years because I never, my fault, never backed my phone up to iCloud. And so I lost like 4 years worth of photos, but it's all good. It's all
Wow.
good.
No, hold on. That's a big one because so
Now,
often, I mean, yeah, like now we don't have
memory.
photos that we keep in an album physically. We're keeping them on our phone.
I
That's
know I'm a
tough
memory
nowadays.
girl
That is
too. I
very
love
tough.
photos like from when I'm a child and etc. And like there's like a whole like 3 4 year probably time gap that I just have no pictures of, like nothing. Maybe like hidden ones on Facebook that are like only I can see. But yeah, it's
Wow,
wild.
that's big. That's big. Oh
I
my
know.
goodness. Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, that just helps me really realize different perspective. Like you lost, but 3 to 4 years of photos, memories, they're not gone because you have them in your mind. However, of course, you don't have that sort of tangible images that you can see and reflect on.
Yeah, it's just
Very
nice to
tough.
look back sometimes and see how far you've came.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I
But
don't even use Snapchat anymore, but just seeing 5 years ago you posted this and anything on social media, think, wait,
right,
that
I
was
know.
me? No way.
I know. You know
You know?
what? I actually the only I don't really use Snapchat either. I'm not really into it,
Yeah,
but
Snap's not good
the
anymore.
yeah, the little time lapse or whatever
Yep,
when it's like
absolutely.
5 years ago today, that pops up for me and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
Do you even
Like, wow,
recognize the person that you see?
hardly. Like,
Hardly.
yes
So,
and no. Yes and no. I feel like
what would you tell Melody from 22 before the journey began, looking back, if knowing what you know now, the wisdom you have before you embarked on this journey of travel, and right after Vegas had occurred, what would you say to your younger self to just really guide yourself through the next 6 years of what's going
oh
to
my
come?
God, I would be like literally, oh gosh, let me think.
Take a
I would
second. It's a
probably
deep one.
yeah, honestly, that's so tough because I'm like, it's cliche kind of, but I would
Sure.
also just be like, I would just be like, go, just go. Because I just remember I remember when I was like 22 years old, what I was doing at that time. And if I was still doing that, I would not be happy with my life. I would not be
Oof.
satisfied. And
Wow.
that's a huge statement. Like, honestly, like
Yeah.
22-year-old Melody would not be like, I would look back. You know what this reminds me of? That Brad Paisley song that says
Sure.
it's called Letter to Me. You know that
Okay.
song by Brad
I
Paisley?
know Brad Paisley,
It's
but
like,
not that song.
yeah, I'm not even like into country, but like I love that song. And it's
Okay.
talking about like if I could write a letter to me, like I would just be like, don't worry, like it's all gonna work out. Just go see the world, keep an open mind. Like who you are right now is like nowhere near who you're gonna be, honestly.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I'm a strong believer that people don't change. Like I think you are who you are. I think you either evolve or you stay stagnant and you stay the same
Yeah.
forever. And I know that I have done so much evolving like throughout my life. And even just like with personal development, listening to podcasts, like just even just spending time alone and like really knowing who you are. Like I love my own company, honestly. And I feel like that's a huge statement.
Yeah, well, so how is that? Because a lot of people do spend time by themselves, but they don't have the reflection to see who are you when you're by yourself and be really just that aware. So, what have you been able to see? Because for myself, it's not just journaling. I've learned the quality of the questions that you ask do so much, right? I mean, so often we ask questions with presuppositions. For example, you could ask yourself, wow, why do I always mess things up? And when you ask that, you presuppose that you mess things up, and then your brain looks for a way to support the statement that you just made and answers that question. So why
Right.
do I always mess things up versus interesting? How can I make things better next time? Your focus is totally going to shift, and having that awareness,
Absolutely.
it's a game changer. So how are you able to do this when you're by yourself? How do you navigate that? How do
You know
you
what's so
listen to
funny?
the
You
internal
you
melody?
yeah, you brought up journaling. I actually love to journal. This is
Yeah.
something that I do well, I'm not going to say that I do it every morning because that would be a little bit of a lie, but I'm back and now into my routine of doing it every morning and
Mm.
journaling and pen to paper, I believe is like the biggest manifestations, like pen to
Wow.
paper.
Wow. Okay.
Truly everything. Like I look back on like I started doing this in January 2020. Um, and I don't know why. I just felt like I was in a place where I was like, I need to like do more. So I started doing it and I look back and I'm like, wow, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And it's like, I feel like because I wrote it down. But
Mm.
exactly what you're saying, I think perception and the way that you even like what you're saying, like you, the way you ask questions or speak to yourself, like, I think you have to keep that glass half full mentality and just try to remain positive.
Wow,
And it's not
Melody.
always easy,
Yeah.
but I
No,
really,
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
try.
I No, it's so right. This reminds me of an example. I was just working with someone the other day, and I was asking them, "What's your prevailing question?" Maybe we could even answer this as well as what question do you ask yourself? What question more than others do you frequently ask yourself? And this person's question was, "Am I enough?" Right? That's their leading question in life. So let's just take a step back and think about this. If you're constantly asking yourself, "Am I enough? Am I enough? Am I enough? Am I enough?" You are presupposing that you may not be enough, and then you're going to support that. So look at that question. How it
Right.
really changed. It was very sad. But fortunately, we were
That
able to
is
work
really
through it.
sad.
It
That
is,
is
and
really
this has been
sad,
for years,
honestly.
5 years.
I don't know what my prevailing question would be.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I've never really thought about that.
Well,
What would yours be? You have one.
yeah. I have a handful because I really focus on questions. Yeah, what I have shifted recently, I mean, I did get inspiration from this person, although right now he's in a little bit of conflict. It's actually a Will Smith saying that he has, where
Oh,
he would always ask himself, "How do I make this moment more magical?" Right?
I like that.
And every interaction. So for me now, I basically use the same idea, same question. I would just say, how do I make this moment more interesting, more exciting, more fun? Just more than what it was before. Because when you cross someone's path, or even when you're on your own, life is very cyclical and very predictable in some areas. Yeah, if you're speaking to someone and they say something just a little bit different, 1 degree different, you change their entire focus, you break their patterns, and you don't know what the outcome will be. So for me, I
That
definitely
is
try to
so
just
true.
make it more exciting.
That's very interesting. Do
Yeah.
you know that one of my favorite quotes ever in life, and I'm not even that big into quotes, but I read this when I was 11 years old and it stuck with me and
Oh.
it just kind of reminded me what you said. So it's everyone who tells a story tells it differently, just to remind us that everyone sees it differently. So
Hmm.
everyone's perspective, like I could be talking to someone and telling the exact same story, and then I'm talking to you, and you guys could literally interpret it completely different.
Yep. Yep.
And so I always, when I'm
Absolutely.
speaking to people, I always, especially out here in Dubai, because there's so many different cultures, and I feel like sometimes I just feel like people don't understand me. Like not even my accent, just like they don't understand my personality.
Yep.
And so I have to always take that into consideration. I feel like I have so much self-awareness
Mm.
because of
Mm.
that,
Mm.
especially just being like surrounded by literally, I can't even tell you so many different cultures. Like honestly, one of my favorite moments ever living out here. This was maybe about a year ago, and I was in a room with like 8 different people, and every single person, so 9 people in total, we were
Yeah.
all from a different country. And I'm
Wow.
like, that is so sick. Like literally, I feel like nowhere else in the world, not even New York, like the melting pot.
Could
No
11
one,
year
like
old could 11-year-old Melody have anticipated that happening when she heard that
God
quote?
no. Oh my God, no. Oh, the places you'll go, Dr. Seuss.
Exactly,
My
yeah, Mr.
goodness.
Seuss or doctor, let's say doctor, yes, Dr. Seuss. No,
Honestly,
that's so spot on.
yeah, I don't know. I've always been I'm equally a dreamer as I am a realist. Like I really
Ooh,
do dream big, but I am also like very realistic. And like I think that's how I've gotten to where I am. You know what I mean?
yeah, so sort of combining the 2 and figuring out, like, dreamer being idealistic, maybe a little so, and combining the realism with that in the
Exactly.
middle.
Like
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Spot on.
100%. Well, I love the example you said where the 2 stories. So I used to share with people, for example, in this video, I'm actually holding a bottle of salt. I don't know if this is a bottle, but something of salt. Now, if I were to show this to you, Melody, there's a whole story that you have with this bottle of salt. Maybe you come from a family that was big into cooking, and maybe your dad's a chef, something like that. Now, if I show this to someone, even in a different city, anywhere, and for them, the relationship with salt was how someone in their family got sick because of high levels of sodium and stuff like that. This object is the same, and even if I'm friendly and nice and whatever, and I share with both of you, your past experience is gonna really mold this object that actually can't even be molded, right? So this it's
Right?
objective, but both of you see it so different. You see it as creation, and that person can see it as destruction.
Exactly.
It's insane. When you really think about that, it's crazy.
That is crazy. No,
That's
100%. And you know
that
what?
blows my
I
mind.
honestly, I think about stuff like this all the time. I really
Right.
do. I'm not even joking. Like I feel like I'm so like, what's the word? Philosophical. I'm
Sure,
always just
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
I always have these deep thoughts and I'm like, whoa, bro, like what? Like
Right,
it's
right.
crazy.
Well, think about this, is water wet? That's a tough one.
My initial reaction would be yes, but then if I
Right.
really think about it, maybe not.
It's so crazy to think about because all these questions you hear is like, "Wait a second." Something that's so common in everyday experience and you never even think about. And then it
Yeah.
opens a whole new world. So that for at least myself, that's what has I mean, just hearing your stories with travel and seeing all the travels you do, just even one little picture that you can share with someone else, you see it and it's you make the idea that this actually exists in that other place. There's another
Yeah.
American, Melody, who I've been friends with for years, who's experiencing something totally different, yet we have that base. And that one little insight changes your entire perspective, like your whole window of view, more or less.
Right.
Yeah, it gets very exciting. Wow. I wanna hear a couple more of these deep thoughts. I mean, I'm sure they'll come back in. Although I do
Yeah.
wanna touch in with when you're in Dubai, were you able to pick up any different passions or hobbies? Had the culture influenced you to dabble in other areas? Or are you bringing yourself from the past to Dubai?
Oh my goodness. I don't really know. Like I feel like I do the same things. Like
Yep.
I don't know, there's so much to do out here. It's honestly overwhelming.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. On it, like I wouldn't say a specific hobby, if that makes sense, but just like I don't know, interactions with people maybe, if that makes
Okay.
sense. But
Yeah,
there's not like a specific hobby that I think I've picked up since being out here. If you know what I
sure.
mean?
Sure. Yeah. So more so kind of socializing with other people and like you said in that room where it was you and 8 other people from all different countries, it's kind of just
Yeah.
connecting with them and seeing how they
It's
think, their thought process.
it's incredibly cultured out here,
Yeah.
incredibly. I
Mm.
actually feel like I think Dubai, I don't know about the UAE as a whole, but Dubai specifically is dominated by expats. Like
Mm,
dominated.
really? That
Like
that
everyone is
actually
like,
makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah, UK, Europe, Australian, like just all over the like nearly anywhere but here, literally.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
really
So
no
then how many locals do you actually meet in, let's
not
say
many that you'll see them like they're out and about and like I know some people that are locals, but like no, like literally there it's dominated by expats and Americans
mm,
are very, 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 very like few and far between. Like I'm
mm.
one of like a bunch,
Yeah, it's
which I
predominantly
also
people from the
but
UK, is that it?
yeah, most people I think are from
Yeah.
UK and Europe
Mm.
and like Australia, etc.
See, I get major Tel Aviv vibes from what I see, although I think that with Dubai, it's just it seems it's kinda like the Las Vegas of the Middle East, is how I've perceived it. These are just
Completely.
is
Yes, I
that it?
always say Dubai is like Vegas, Miami, and New York combined.
Oh, no way. Wow.
Completely, because you have you've been to all those places?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so, like, Vegas, you get the desert, and you also get,
Mm,
like, the crazy nightlife, and then Miami, you get the crazy nightlife with some of, like, the buildings and architecture and on the beach, and then New York, just, like, the skyscrapers.
dang.
That's how I see it.
So it's a whole
And
conglomeration. Yeah.
the
Oh, the
melting
melting
pot
pot too.
vibe of, like,
Yeah.
New York City.
Hmm. Yeah, this place I gotta go because with Tel Aviv, I would actually describe it to people that it definitely wasn't like Vegas, but it had parts of New York, definitely in San Francisco, and like an LA kind of addition to it. Kinda like
Yeah,
those 3, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
smaller Tel Aviv than, of course, Dubai. Then you just see the contrast, and it's crazy how in the Middle East, I mean, you've been here for 2 years, how they're obviously acting independently, but there's so much influence from so many major cities. And it's kinda like they took all the ingredients and put it in this pot and just stirred it up, right? You know,
yeah.
Chef Curry with the pot, all that stuff, and just
It is
created
wild.
this incredible thing. Yeah, it's remarkable. No,
Yeah.
this place.
What is your perception of Dubai? I'm just curious because honestly,
Well,
like
yeah.
when I told people I was moving here, a lot of people from at least Virginia, like people that I know, like literally they either thought it was like the craziest, dopest, like rich, like
Mm.
unbelievable place, or people thought that I was moving to like a war zone because it's the Middle East.
What?
And there
What
was like
though?
no,
That's funny.
literally at all. I'm
Yeah.
not kidding.
Wow. I mean, I definitely believe you. I would say more my perception was, well, I went to undergrad with people from the Middle East, right? A lot of people from Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, all these other countries like Yemen, Oman, and
Oh,
yeah, a lot of it. And my roommate was actually from Dubai. Yeah, I was roommates with him
what?
for
You've
yeah.
never told me this. This is crazy.
Actually, maybe we no, we did because remember you visited and then I had said that my friend was in Dubai or you were visiting you moved to Dubai. I said, "Oh, my friend lives there." You go, "No way." Man, he
Oh my God, okay. I don't know. Maybe this kind of rings a bell
one of them
slightly.
maybe. I mean, there's so many adventures, but yeah, basically he was there and yeah, I just no, I definitely when you don't know anything about Dubai, from my understanding is you just think it's this massive Las Vegas, Middle East. For me, total debauchery and craziness, which to some
Yeah.
extent it has some of those elements. Yeah, it's just really up and coming, and it's from like I look at a lot of things from a philosophical perspective or historical, and I just try to see it's the Middle East kind of meets the West, kind of meets secular society while still trying to maintain its roots. And I think
Totally.
that for me, that was the beauty also living in Tel Aviv and Israel itself, because it tries to combine history with the present and really where the future is going, with people
Yeah,
from everywhere, religions from every time period, and technologies that are foreign and clearly domestic in Israel. So it just gives you a whole different perspective from it. And I definitely
totally.
want to go to Dubai, so mark me in there.
I know.
You
Come visit,
I will
honestly. By
definitely be
all
there.
means. I need to
Well,
get more people out here. It's just so freaking far away. I'm like, but
it is far
there's
away.
more
Yeah.
than enough space. Come and
Yeah, I
visit.
mean, I see there's a big room right there you got. Is that
Yeah.
so hold on, I mean, not to psychoanalyze your room, but typically in the Middle East, they have the how would you say it? The couches are a little lower to the ground to kind of create more of a communal sort of feel. Is it the
Not,
same it's not
I
the
wouldn't
same
say
there?
so. No,
Oh,
I think
okay.
maybe like, I would say like some parts of the Middle East, yes. I think
Yeah.
Dubai is very
I think
modernized.
that's the difference, yeah, because in
Yeah.
Morocco, it was totally like that. When I lived there, everything low to the ground
Really?
was yeah, well, not always low to the ground, just a sense of there wouldn't be couches that were separated, right? Because in the West, we tend to be more individualistic. In other parts of the world, it's more collectivist, right?
Right.
So the couches, even the couch I'm sitting on, it's a small couch that breaks into two pieces. Why? What are we doing?
Right.
And in Morocco, it was just one massive long couch that just encompassed the room and would always be attached.
That is cool.
Yeah, it was very different. So I don't know if there was overlap with how they did it in Dubai or anything like that.
Maybe like if you were like if I was to go to like I'm trying to think. If I was to go to like someone's house who was like Arabic or like a
Yeah,
local, maybe
I
they would have that
for
because
sure.
you see like a lot of like cultured stuff like that,
Yep.
but like not everywhere would be, if
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
No, for sure. Like some areas would dabble. I mean, that's even, yeah, just any area where it's more just in quotations conservative versus liberal. We'll say you kind of get that it mixes, right? Like in the cities in Washington D.C., it's crazy because at least the way that let's how do I say this, where liberals, let's just say, tend to be more inclusive, more all encompassing. People here don't even know their neighbors. It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
so nuts. I lived in my brother's house for a little while, and like, "Wait, do you guys know the neighbors?" They said, "Nope, no idea." So, a couple of them they knew, it's just it was a common theme. And then in other areas, it totally changes. So with the
so
families you
crazy.
meet, you probably have or whichever community you were able to interact with, you would see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would honestly say that I don't know any of my neighbors. I don't.
Are
I
you
think
living
that
in are you living in an apartment complex, or are you in
I
a
do live in an apartment. Yeah, most people live in apartments, I would say.
yeah, that makes
Like
sense.
out here there are like villas and stuff like that. But yeah, I live in an apartment. I don't know my neighbors. I don't even think I've ever seen my neighbor, if I'm being honest. Like, truly, like,
This is
have you ever
remarkable,
seen
really.
the meme that's like, "Is life actually real?" 'Cause have you actually ever seen your neighbor bring in the groceries? I've never,
Oh my
like, right
gosh,
hand to
no.
God Bible, I've never seen my neighbor. Like, I'm not even joking.
I think we're at the
Like, there's
point where if you see someone walking into your building with groceries, you think maybe they're gonna try to break into your room or something. It sounds so
yeah.
crazy at this point because we really don't even see them. And even at times you share an elevator ride and everyone's freaking out, everyone's panicked. Like, guys, what are we doing? Like, but we can hear each other through the walls. I mean, hopefully not all the
Yeah,
time,
do
but
you
you know.
know, speaking of, let me just put this out there even though I probably shouldn't, but
Okay.
the UAE is considered, like, one of the safest countries in the world. I don't know if you know this,
I
but
did
no
not
one
know
locks
that.
their
Wow.
doors. Like, people literally do not lock their doors.
Hmm.
Like, my front door has genuinely never been locked. My bedroom door I lock, but
Yeah.
I've every apartment I've ever lived in Dubai, I've never locked my door. Like, that's the thing that people just don't do.
Okay, so for
But
for everybody listening, Melody lives on Boulevard, South Boulevard.
so I'm saying I probably shouldn't put that out there, but, like,
I mean,
but you
it
know
should be
what I
okay.
just love about living out here, and one thing that I notice is so different to America is just, and I'm not saying it's kind of a generalized statement, but
Sure.
people have so much respect out here. Like, people
Mm.
wouldn't break into someone's house, but like I literally left my Louis Vuitton bag in the back seat of a taxi one time, didn't even realize. I wasn't even drunk. I wasn't nothing. Like, I literally just accidentally left it in the back seat. Didn't even realize for 10 minutes and I ended up getting it back. Like,
Wow. Wait,
people
was it
people
an
li-
Uber? It was a normal taxi.
it was just a normal taxi.
Oh,
Normal
wow.
taxi.
Wow.
Yeah. Ended up getting it back. They like tracked on the cameras. They called the guy, like nothing's missing. I had a
What?
friend that left his Rolex watch on a table at a beach club and got it back the next day. People do not steal. They do
Wow.
not. Like, it's not, I mean, I'm not saying it's never happened, but because I'm sure it definitely has.
Yeah,
But for the most part, like, you hear these stories all the time. Like,
right.
I had a friend that left his like luggage in the back seat of I don't even know what, like a cab, and he got the whole luggage back, nothing missing.
Oh my
Like, people
goodness.
leave cash around.
Yeah,
People, I
so
literally have a cleaner that comes into the room,
mhm.
and I have like cash in my room, like in one of my drawers. I probably shouldn't be saying this on here anyways, but literally,
Yeah.
I left my apartment to go do a client at work while she was here cleaning my room. Come back, like, it's just people just probably
I
too
actually
trusting,
I
but
fully agree with this, though. I don't know if it's more of a kinda European, maybe a touristy kinda thing, but I had gone to Norway, and I mean, the story is long, but I'll really condense it. Is I was in Norway, and I was borrowing a computer that a friend had loaned me because my computer broke, a laptop. I'm in Norway, and I'm going to my flight from Norway back to Tel Aviv, and once I'm at my gate, after 30 minutes passing security, I realized my laptop's not in my bag. I know, I freaked out. So I ran back, I go through the security line, I said, "Guys, like, let's find this," and I said, "Can you check the cameras?" They said, "No, we can't because of all this security, all these things." I said, "Oh my goodness." And I could have waited for maybe 1 or 2 hours, but then I would have missed my flight. And it's thinking, "Okay, I gotta get back. I can't take this off." I was getting my master's. Long story short, I had to bite the bullet and thought, "Okay, well, yeah, I just gotta leave the laptop and file a request, complaint, something like that." And fast forward a month and a half later, I get an email from the airport and they go, "Hey, we found your laptop."
oh my gosh,
So
that's
crazy.
amazing.
It was incredible. What wasn't great was I was borrowing the laptop from a friend who said, "Oh, Bruce, you can borrow the laptop until the end of the semester," right? So this was February and the semester ended in August or something like that, or
Uh-huh.
something like August. So I said, "Okay, cool." The laptop was no longer in my possession. So for me, I felt the need, okay, the laptop is in theory gone. However, there is a chance I can still find it. So I'm not going to mention anything to the person. I know that's kind of controversial, but my point being is what matters to that person is that
That
the
was
laptop, yeah, that they get the laptop back when we agreed.
absolute
That's the point. So then I get back to Tel Aviv and we're going to go out for their birthday and we're about to meet up. So we get to their birthday and we're talking. It's me and the two of them, and they go, "Ah, Bruce, how was Norway?" I said, "Wow, it was incredible. I definitely had a great time and skied for the first time. Nearly died twice. I mean, that's exciting. Had a lot of fun." And they go, "Yeah. So how was it to do schoolwork?" I said, "Ah, schoolwork was okay." They go, "Yeah. So how's the laptop?" And I said, "Ah, huh. Well, the laptop's fine." And they go, "Bruce, we know you don't have the laptop. We know you lost it." It's like, "What? How do you
Oh
know
my
this?"
God.
Yeah. So then basically I'd spoken to one of my friends at the time about it, or I posted something. I mean, this is why you gotta be very careful. He shared it with them, and then I go, "Oh my goodness, this is a catastrophe." And they go, "Bruce, I
Goodness.
can't believe this, all this stuff." But then, moral of the story, well, 2 morals is 1, do not, self-incriminate for sure. Sometimes there's a time and place to say something. So, timing is really just so important. But then
Oh my God.
2, timing is everything, it really is.
That
And
was what was running through my mind right there. Timing is everything,
it's
legit.
everything, everything. Literally, it's everything. And then the other point though is, yeah, a lot of these cultures, I think, more abroad, they tend to, depending where you go, they are very considerate. They'll follow up. Maybe it's a Norway and UAE thing and Scandinavian, but they're definitely open and receptive to maintaining that sense of culture, community. And like
Yeah,
your friend got the Rolex back, suitcase, getting a laptop. That was like there's a MacBook Pro or something. It was pretty
yeah,
serious.
that
And
is
after a month
serious.
and a half, they give it. So yeah,
But
more
it's
point.
so nice. I love to hear that. I love it. Like, I
Right.
honestly love that. Like, that's how it should be,
That's how it
you
should
know?
be, but
Would that
people
happen
don't
in
do this.
Washington, DC? Definitely not.
Oh my
I
God,
would say
Washington
no.
DC? No, no, no. I mean, DC is a really fun city, but no, absolutely not. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you would never
100%.
see it again.
No,
Peace, like, out. Finita.
no, when it's gone, it's 100% gone. So that's a big lesson I learned. And one thing we like to talk about on here, Melody, is a big failure, but we change it. A big failure in your life that occurred, but you actually learned a lesson through it. We can tie
Oh
one,
my,
maybe your travels. I mean, most people at the age of 28 have not really been able to live abroad. I mean, my God, I met someone, this really blew my mind. Maybe 3 months ago, they, I think they're 33, 34. And they never left, I think, their state. They never went camping, they never went hiking, never went karaoke. So many simple things that we have such an abundance of that we take for granted. So you've done a lot just in a short 28 years. What do you think you've learned within the past, specifically 6, that really just changed your mindset?
oh my goodness. Honestly, what have I learned more than anything is to just be true to who you are. And I know that's so cliche and like kind of lame. It's kind of a lame answer, but I just feel like no matter what, as long as I'm being authentically who I am, like everything goes fine in life.
Hmm.
And like never change or like this is what change for me is like a negative word. Like never change for
Really
like
interesting. Wow.
somebody or like I don't know, just stay true to who you are. I
Hmm.
feel like any time that I've like failed maybe in life, it's because I was not being like not following like my heart or like what would melody do type deal.
Who are you listening to instead?
I don't know, maybe just like trying to like adapt to like my surroundings
Hmm.
or maybe falling into like I don't know, maybe like a situation where I'm not focused on myself, if that makes sense, and
Hmm.
just like get distracted.
Okay, so is it sort of looking for kind of a way to adapt to your environment, but maybe some validation from people, peers, even from yourself? Maybe you want to validate yourself, like Melody. You have an expectation of yourself. Are you meeting that? Are you
Right.
consistent with who you should be, who you think you should be, versus who you actually believe you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned. And not like honestly, that's just I would say and also like just take risks, do it.
Mm.
Like at the end of your life, you're literally going to regret the things that you never did. Like
Right.
when I came out here, I remember telling my mom, I was like, I'd rather literally just completely fail, completely, but at least know I tried rather
Mm.
than never doing it at all. Like all the
Yep.
things that I wouldn't have experienced, or even the people that I wouldn't have met, or the
Mm.
lessons that I wouldn't have learned. And it's like, yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything, honestly.
Oh, beautiful.
I
It's like that saying that most most people are buried around when they're 80, but die by the time they're 30. Right.
facts.
I mean, that one, I think
Facts.
it's like actually Martin Luther King Jr. And yeah, that blew my mind. I mean, even now, I actually operate on the belief that when I go to sleep, I don't really even expect to wake up. I know it maybe sound a little bit morbid, but it really
Yeah,
makes you it sounds a little morbid. Just one, there's no guarantee. Two, even after we finish recording this, you don't know what's gonna happen. And there's an illusion that we live with. And even
right.
with that, what are you gonna do with that knowledge? You can let it cripple you, you can enable it to, okay, let me play safe, which is that really living? And for everyone, it's different. You just gotta find out what makes sense to you. And it really seems like you've done that really
Yeah,
just
one of my favorite people on the absolute entire planet. I've always said this, Charlemagne the God.
yeah,
He's on.
you've always like
I
I've been
love
listening to him a lot lately. He's pretty good.
I I
Yeah.
love him. Like I
He's
don't
really
know
cool.
why. He's
Yeah.
my uncle. That's what I call him, my Uncle Charlotte.
Yeah.
But he said on a podcast actually recently on the Brilliant Idiots, which is my favorite podcast of all time. Um, and he said the biggest mistake that we as humans make is every night we go to bed assuming we're going to wake up the next morning.
Oof.
We make that
Wow.
mistake every single day, and that's on
Wow.
God, that is an absolute fact. Like we
Wow.
just literally take it for granted almost. We just go to sleep at night just assuming that tomorrow's coming,
Yep.
and it's like, no, absolutely not. This is why I FaceTime my family every single night. I FaceTime my mom. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
I need to like just stay grounded, stay in touch with my family, make sure people know like when you love them, you have to tell them that you love them because tomorrow's not promised. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow,
So
that's deep. That is deep.
yeah, absolutely. And there was something I was gonna say in regards to that with Charlemagne. And
Charlemagne. Okay, his perspective of you don't know if you're gonna wake up and
yeah, you were
it's
saying
a little
something before
morbid.
that. It reminded me of something, but I've just lost my train of thought, unfortunately.
It'll come back. Sometimes when the train leaves the train station, they just gotta reverse and they'll come back.
100%
Just gotta
will.
switch tracks and they'll come back. Well, let's go to the
Exactly.
next one. I mean, I think I know the answer to this next one, but I like to ask, you're gonna have, I'll say, usually we do coffee, but with a historical figure or even someone who just really influenced you a bit, who you've never actually met, who would you want to spend, let's say, 30 minutes to an hour and a half with? I mean, I'm assuming Charlemagne is one of them, but I'm sure there's others that you could.
Yeah, yeah, what's interesting is I want to clarify. I don't get starstruck by anyone. I just
Nice.
don't. I feel like we're all just kind of people.
Yep.
But a
Agreed.
person, and you were probably going to be like, what in the world? But a person that
Let's hear it.
I would love, love to spend 30 minutes with is Kanye West.
Hmm. Why is that?
your, your reaction just there. Um, I think that I think that the media makes I think the media changes everything these days. I really just don't trust anything that's online.
Hmm.
And I think that people try to make him seem like he's crazy. And I think he is a little bit crazy, but I think people that are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the people that do.
Hmm.
And I think that he's a visionary. And I think that he sees things and he thinks things that actually are so like legit and valid. And I feel like he's just, I don't know. I like his perception. I remember, speaking of Charlemagne, listening to The Breakfast Club when I was 17 years old, driving to my senior year of high school, listening to a Kanye West interview on The Breakfast Club. And I vividly remember this in my Toyota Celica, murdered
Wow.
out, subs in the back seat,
Yep.
literally bass bumping, like unreal. What a throwback. But I remember listening to a Kanye West interview and I literally was sitting there thinking, this guy is absolutely insane. Like he is crazy. Like what in the world?
Hmm.
And a few years ago, I went back and re-listened to these interviews and really like digested and really sat there and listened. And every single thing that he said, he did, he was right about, came true. And I remember at the time, it's like he's almost like of the future. I swear.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like I don't idolize him. I just think he's cool and I think we would have such a good conversation.
I
That's
believe so as well. Yeah, you two would definitely go
and
into. I do think 30 minutes wouldn't be enough for sure.
yeah, totally. But
And I don't
honestly,
know if
like
we should do coffee because I think I mean, look, I like Kanye. Coffee would probably just get him super hyper. So
oh my God, it totally would.
yeah,
Totally
I
would.
mean, even fully sober without even any caffeine or anything in him, he's very high energy. Like
Yeah.
he's introverted, but he pulls out and just makes this energy come out of nowhere.
I
Yeah,
just think it would be a hell of a conversation. And I am all about like connection and conversations, like
yeah,
real meaningful conversations with people. I live for those. I really
Mm,
do.
mm.
Quality, quantity.
100%. And now it reminds me with the podcast you had mentioned. With There was one before with Charlemagne. Definitely a few recommendations that we try to share that we have. Right, we try to talk a movie, a book, or a podcast, something that's
Yeah.
influenced you. That just that one little excerpt, that one little song, that one line that someone says. Of these three, which ones have really resonate with you? Right. So, what's a book that you would recommend recently that
Oh.
really changed you?
So I actually pulled them out.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
if
There we
I'm
go.
being completely honest, I'm not
Please
going to
be
be
honest.
like
Thank you.
fraud. I'm not a big reader, even though I want to be. I'm a
Yeah.
wannabe big reader, but I'm not. Um, but speaking of, Shook One
Speaking of
by
shook
Charlamagne
one.
God.
Yep.
This book is all about like mental health
Hmm.
and anxiety, etc. And honestly, I'm grateful that I don't really struggle with mental health in terms of
Mm.
like on the grand scheme of things. I'm very grateful for this. I feel like I'm generally a happy person, but you can learn something from this no matter what. And I will be completely honest, living in America, I feel like is kind of like anxiety ridden because you just never
Mm.
know if you're gonna like walk into a grocery store and die. So when I was
Wow.
home and he dropped this book is unbelievable. Like I would recommend it to literally anyone. It's called Shook One: Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me, and it's just about
Mm.
no, like it's just I think he's really changed the stigma around it, which I think is fantastic. And I think no matter what, anyone can benefit from it.
Mm.
The second
Mm.
book that I read that I absolutely loved and personally helped me was Eat, Pray, FML
Oh,
by
wow. Yeah. Funny.
Gabrielle. Have you heard of this?
No, I mean, Eat, Pray, Love, and then Eat,
Oh
Pray.
yeah, Eat, Pray, FML, and it's like an unbelievable book. I read this in December last year, and it literally just I feel like saved my life is extremely dramatic, but during that time, it just like got me through the month of
Mm.
December, and it was an
What's
unbelievable book. So I would highly recommend that. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big reader, but I would say in my adult life, those are the two. Also, there's this book called "I Used to Be a Miserable Fuck." I don't know if you've
mm.
heard of that. I got my
I've heard
mom.
it many times. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I got my mom's husband that for Christmas,
Oh,
and
congratulations to them, by the way. I'm pretty sure we spoke since they got married, but
yeah, I don't
yeah,
know
I'm
how
pretty
many
sure.
years they've been married now. I love
Yeah.
Jeff. Jeff is
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
I had met him, me and my friend. We when we came to visit, we all had lunch together the next day.
Yeah, Jeff
Yeah.
is he's a bro. He's just like
Yeah.
my dad. I also love it because my real dad, like my actual dad, who is like
Biological,
my
we'll say, yeah.
ever. Yeah, you've met my dad as well. You've met
Yeah.
everyone. You've met the whole
Yeah, I mean,
family.
it's basically we're already in there, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And my dad and Jeff, they get along really well. They're
Oh,
like
that's
bros.
awesome. It's so beautiful, wow.
It's like honestly my family dynamic. I'm so grateful for it. Honestly, like my family is everything to me, honestly.
No, I mean,
But
maybe
yeah, I got him that book. It's called I Used to Be a Miserable Fuck. And it's actually a book for guys to read technically, but I think women can benefit from it too. And it's just like about a guy who pretty much went through a divorce and pretty much blamed the world for everything. And then he woke up
oh,
one day and was like taking accountability, which I just need to
oof,
say. I need to
yeah,
say that I think the two most attractive qualities in a human being is accountability and
mm,
ambition,
mm,
hands down. To me, like that is what makes a person attractive. If you can take accountability for yourself, that is a huge thing. But
yeah,
anyways, in this book, he just goes through that pretty much, and it's such a good book. Like it really is just about life and just how to like handle situations,
yeah,
relationships, etc. And I just think it's unreal.
yeah,
Um, and as for podcasts, I said the
yeah,
Brilliant
sure.
Idiots. That's for like they always end it saying like if you think we're a bunch of idiots that don't know anything, or if you think we're brilliant, like yeah, it literally is what it is. There's great information, and then there's also just like idiotic stuff on it too. But it's
Mm.
funny and easy, and you can kind of hear about like pop culture and what's happening in the world. But I also love Jay Shetty.
Oh,
I
on purpose?
love
Yeah, he's incredible.
Jay Shetty. He
Yeah.
is like him. And then have you heard of the podcast Live Better, Feel More?
No, haven't. Mm-mm.
Oh
No
my God,
way.
it's unreal. Okay, so also, I'm just gonna go into this. I
Yeah.
actually was listening to a podcast this morning on my walk, and it was by Live Better Feel More. I highly recommend all
Mm,
of these series. All these people are from the UK as well. Um, but I was listening, and this is something, this could be a whole nother conversation. So I was listening to this lady, I don't remember her name exactly. I think the podcast just came out too, but they were talking about relationships. And this is something that I always say. I'm a strong believer that if you're like in a romantic relationship, you cannot be truly happy or truly love someone or etc. until you are happy with yourself and until you know yourself. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Like
Yeah.
you can be like, you can be happy and you can go on, but you can't be the best version until you really know who you are as a person and you're truly happy with yourself. Well, this lady blew my mind. She actually blew my mind because she put it in a perspective that I've genuinely never in my life ever heard. But she said, I don't believe in that at all. She was like, I think that's the biggest load of crap I've ever heard.
Oh,
She
wow.
goes, because the reason why is that who you are, you find within your relationships and your connections, whether it be a romantic relationship or a friendship. She was like, that's who you find out who you are through these different connections.
Mm,
Now, I've never ever heard it in that perspective. And I agree with that, but I still think that the ultimate form of like what someone would strive for would maybe be after that. Cause I agree with that. Like you do kind of find out who you are as an individual through different connections because you find out how
yeah,
you
that's
handle
true.
situations, you
Yep.
find out like what your boundaries are, etc. But the ultimate like goal would be, I assume, after that, once you kind of discover those things. But I also believe like if you think you know everything, then you know nothing at all. You should
Oof.
never stop learning.
Yes.
Never
Love
stop
that, love
learning.
that. Yep.
Truly.
Absolutely.
Like every day I do wake up and I think, what can I learn from today? Like there's got to be some sort of lesson or some sort of take that I can get from this day,
Yeah,
you know?
and even
Every
that
day's an
question.
opportunity.
No, I mean, for sure, and just to add to that real fast is even that question presupposes that there is something to learn today, right?
Totally.
So again, it's like the power of questions versus, what don't I or what do I like, what can I learn today? And just that phrasing, it enables you to actually be receptive, open-minded, and aware that you don't necessarily know everything. And even if you know a lot, is the information you have maybe incorrect or has it changed? How is it adapted?
Totally.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely
great.
agree.
Wow.
This all
Well,
is about evolution, in my opinion, like just evolving
okay.
constantly
Yeah, it's like you
and
said, it's either
keeping
you
an open
evolve or you're
mind.
stagnant. Yeah.
Yeah, keeping an open mind honestly will change your life, I think.
Hmm.
Like I
There's a
honestly growing up, I think I used to kind of be a know-it-all and like I would think that, and I just since I've stopped that mindset, like my whole life has changed, honestly.
well, let me ask
Evolved.
you, because a lot of people are still in this mindset. Was it an event that occurred? What was the catalyst that helped to shift that? When you go from "I think I know it all" versus "Wait a second, were you corrected? Did you have an embarrassing moment? What happened to change
Ooh,
that?"
that's a really good question.
Thank you.
My well, embarrassing moment. My mom probably like dragging me by my hair when I talked back to her when I was younger. Literally. Oh my
No
gosh. Like
way.
don't
Wait,
play no
are
games.
we talking
Honestly.
6 years old? We're talking 12,
Oh,
15?
probably like 14.
Oof.
I was
Oh,
mouthy. I was. And you know what? My mom used to always say so much all my whole entire life, like, she will love this. She will love this. And I'm gonna go on camera saying this.
let's do it.
Um, she used to always be like, one day, Melody, you will thank me. One day you will see. And my mom is always right. She's always right. She's completely right. I look back on these situations now and I'm like, you were right. And I am thanking you now. And I will thank you every day for the rest of my life for being the mom and dad that they were, because they really raised me. They honestly did. They raised me right. They totally
Mm,
did. I credit like so much of who I am to my childhood and like the way my parents were. My mom was so strict. She really was. Like, and I remember thinking like, oh, that's so lame. Like, why can't I do this and that? And it's like now I look back and I'm like, I was raised so well. Like I was raised going to church and like I know right from wrong. I wouldn't say I'm a religious person, like I'm spiritual, but like I know right from wrong. I have my morals, like, and my mom's always right. That's there's no bigger Fendi fact than that.
Mm.
Like, my mother's always right, and she will literally appreciate this moment forever.
Well, look at that. Half your life ago, right? You mentioned 28. When you were 14, you remember your mom saying, well, having that event where she's yanking you by your hair, and then her
Oh my
telling
god,
you this, and now you're like, wait a second. It came full circle. After however long it took, you realize that. And I mean, yeah, definitely once I put
completely.
this, share this with her, because yeah, she would love to hear that. I mean, plus who doesn't like to hear that they were right? I mean, come on, you know?
Oh my god, she will
That's a
literally
pretty good
love it.
feeling. Yeah.
She will love it.
Yeah, I
But
make the
it's
joke.
true.
Yeah, someone goes, "Oh, Bruce, you're so right." I go, "Wait, what was that? I couldn't hear you. Say that again."
Oh my god, I know, right? That tastes weird coming out of my mouth.
This is very strange. What was the I think we skipped over one because I wanted to hear a movie recommendation you had too. One
Oh, a
that there was like
movie.
a film. Yeah. I mean, it could also be like a YouTube clip or something like that. I watched one today on social media that the guy says, imagine it's like a minute long. It's on my story. He says, imagine, like, close your eyes and imagine you're 100, right? And your granddaughter who's 8 years old comes to see you and says, "Hey, grandpa or grandma, how are you feeling?" "Oh, I feel okay, pretty tired." And then the your grandchild goes, "Wait, but what's going on? You're so young." And then you go, "No, no, I'm pretty old." And they go, "No, no, you're pretty young. Like all you got to do is just open your eyes." And then you open your eyes and you're the 28-year-old Melody, 26-year-old Bruce, and you realize, wait a second, there is a lot of time, but if your eyes aren't open, you're going to miss the entire thing. Right. So within
Right.
like a 55-second clip, that blew my mind today. That was the one nugget today where totally took me somewhere else. So yeah, it could be a movie, something like that.
Oh
Just a
my
real
gosh. I honestly don't know. I don't know about a movie. Like, I mean, I have favorite movies, but like
mm.
nothing that's like,
What would you recommend a specific one that someone who's maybe, let's say a younger Melody, maybe 22, just finished school, or even, in their mid to late 20s who wants to explore but isn't just doing it, has this timid nature to them. What would you recommend that they can see that can maybe inspire them or shift their take on travel and being authentically them?
gosh. Um, I do watch a lot of YouTube videos, but like no one like in particular. Like I'm leaving to go to Scotland tomorrow morning, and so I'll literally just like YouTube like adventures in Scotland, and then
Oh,
just like
nice. Yeah.
myself in that position.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. That's I feel like I love the movie Serendipity. Have
Hmm.
you heard of that movie?
I've heard of it. Yep.
Have you seen it?
I've
So
never.
like serendipity is like it's like an accidental chance when you're
Yeah.
looking for something else, but something better
Right.
comes along. The moral of the story is a really, really good movie. I wish I would have actually thought about this question a little bit more because I feel like I have a good answer, but I just can't think of it on the spot. And I
Hmm.
have this completely.
Oh man, that'll have to be for the next one. Although serendipity, yeah, it's the. I mean, even this happened this week too, where you expect something to go one way and then something else happens, and then the chances of that other thing happening coinciding with what actually happens. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
remarkable.
it's kind of like a trust the process type of situation.
Yeah,
Like you
very.
might go looking for something that you think is unreal, and then it's just something better comes along.
Oh, and
And I do
another.
feel
Yeah,
like
yeah. No, that's so right. That reminds me real fast is thinking that the worst day of your life, if you actually look at it later on, could be maybe the best day. So just in your example, not the worst day of your
absolutely
life.
that.
I mean, your mom, for pizza, like this woman that you love that loves you, is disciplining you saying, Melody, no, we're pulling you out of here. Literally pulls you out. And you could have said, oh, this is the worst day. My mother, she's being such a hard ass. Oh my gosh, what is this? And then you realize, look at what that catalyst did to inspire you,
Absolutely.
to shift you. That's awesome.
Completely. There's been so many times where I'm like, thank God that happened. Even though at the time it was maybe like miserable or like made me feel terrible, etc. And now I
Mm,
look back and I'm like, oh my God, there was a bigger plan for me. There really
yeah.
was.
Wow.
Thank
Wow.
God for that
Yep.
experience. And then you learn so much anyways about it's a whole life lesson that you'll learn, you know what I mean? And everyone has to go through tough times to appreciate the good ones.
Because
Like
can you have the good ones
there's
without
no
the tough
good
ones?
without bad, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely. 100%.
Like 100%.
Mm,
So, and that's just life.
mm. Says the world traveling Melody who's been four continents, five continents, however many you've been able to
You don't
see.
even know. I think I've traveled
Maybe-
alone to
Yeah.
13 or 14 countries, but I've been all over the place. I think.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though is I feel like for my age, for who I am, I've done a lot, but I also meet people out here all the time that have done
Yeah.
so
Oh
much
my
more
God.
than me.
And who are
And
probably
I'm
younger and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
Crazy.
whoa, but then I meet people that haven't done anywhere near what I've
Yeah.
done too. So, and
Right,
I don't
right.
compare myself or like I don't put myself on like a timestamp.
Mm.
This just reminded me what I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
So genuinely, I think like, and this is like whenever you're the best version of yourself, like kind of goes back to what I was saying before, like happiness and whatever else. Like whenever I feel like when I hit like 30, for example, I'm gonna look back and be so grateful. Like if I this sounds horrible, but maybe good. If I did die tomorrow, I feel like I'm satisfied with like what I've done in my life. Like I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I've done enough and I do have like goals and there's things that I want to do and there's some of the best times of my life haven't even happened yet and I'm a strong believer in that. Like there's so much more that's goodness that's coming and like that's such a great thing to think about. It's such an inspiring thing and I try to think that every day and remind myself, especially if you're having a bad day, like there's days that are going to be even better. But if I did die tomorrow, I feel like I'm proud of the things that I have done in my life.
Mm.
Like I'm proud of taking a leap of faith and just leaving and I've built a life out here completely on my own for myself and I'm like seriously sometimes I'm like how have I done this? It's actually kind of
Mm.
crazy, but
Mm. Mm. Well, you've survived the 27 club, so that's pretty good news. I mean,
yeah,
that one's a little tricky to make it past. No, I mean, for sure, it's realizing, are you constantly living in, are your actions matching your beliefs, right? And then are the
right.
consequences of that consistent? And if it is, you have nothing to really be upset about because that's where you're following your gut. You're taking this risk. And really, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not necessarily what you've achieved in this time. It's kind of who you became, right? The person who was at
Yeah.
maybe 22, more maybe timid or was excited for everything, but now looks back at the younger Melody and thinks, oh my gosh, you're going to become a whole new person because you can get a lot. That's not going to do much. It seems
Yeah.
to me it's who you became throughout travels and being aware since 14. All these events are catalysts that brought you to the spot and
Yeah.
the future and more to come.
Constantly just growing and I think that also just really like when you're speaking to someone like really like listening there's a difference
Mm.
between hearing and
Oh,
listening really really listening to what they're saying and
yep.
like people I feel like in life just you speak to someone and you keep on going but like I want people to know that they are being heard and like they do matter and like having compassion and understanding for people like that is so important to me so
Mm,
important
The
and like
beautiful way you say that, listening versus hearing. Very
yeah it's
different.
huge there's a huge difference
Huge
huge.
difference. And the crazy thing is you can listen, but did you actually understand too, right? So there's levels to it.
Exactly.
There's levels to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
Listen
can
versus hearing and actually understanding.
right.
And
It's
you
like
might
that,
not be able to relate on a personal level, like you might not be through that experience, but I always try to put myself in other people's shoes,
mm,
always.
mm,
Because you just never, and you honestly never know what someone's going through. That's an absolute fact, too. You never ever.
100%. Yeah, I
And that's why,
mean,
judging a book by its cover, like I said, out here, there's really not many Americans. And actually, recently, I was told that somebody said, "Oh, she's not from where you're from. Like she has a very snooty American accent." And
hmm.
I don't know where my accent came from. I do have a Valley Girl accent, but
Yeah, I
like
was
my
actually thinking,
accent,
there as this conversation was going, I said, "Wow, Melody really does have
you
this
know what's
accent."
funny is like until I moved here, I never knew I had an accent. Like that's not something like
Oh, right, right, yeah.
we think the world revolves around us. So
100%.
like we
Yep.
think that we don't have an accent and the rest of the world does. But every single day of my life, there's not been a day that's gone by that I've not spoken to someone like, oh, you're American. Oh my God, your accent. Like it's a thing. It
Right.
really is a thing. And somebody recently said that I have a snooty American accent, but they obviously don't know me at all. And it's just really interesting because people do hear me or like, even actually recently I was in the salon and there was a client who at the end of the service was like, we had such a great conversation. And this is one reason why I absolutely love my job, is because you meet so many cool people and you get to make them feel good, like
Mm,
internally, speak to them, like just get to know people from all over the world. And she told me, she was like, when I first saw you, I thought that you were going to be like, I was so intimidated by you, and I thought that you were going to be completely different than who you are. And like, I heard your accent, and like, you just sounded like a Kardashian, and just like, I thought you were going to be almost like an idiot too.
mm,
And like, it was just interesting because I do think that a lot of people don't understand me out here, but it is like that overall aspect of don't judge a book by its cover. Like when
yeah.
you really get to know someone.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
yeah, I don't,
That's right.
just
Yeah.
by the way someone speaks too. Like you can't judge someone by the way that they speak, you know?
Mm. That's powerful. It seems so often we're doing that so much. And as you were bringing up the example of the hair salon, and when you're working with there and connecting with everybody, that reminded me of actually the other time we had gotten together, which it was in 2016, and I believe it was with your friend Brent and your other friend Billy Joe, I believe.
Brent.
Is that his
I'm
name?
trying,
Brent?
I don't know.
Brunette,
I know
from
Brent for sure.
California. Is it Brent?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That, okay, that Brent. Yeah, he lives
Yeah.
in San Francisco.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
that
yeah.
is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
Brent.
as you bring up the story with the
Yeah.
hairstyle, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure when I came, I visited one
Oh
of the
my
places you
God,
worked."
yes! I
Yeah, yeah.
totally forgot that
That
you met
was
Billy
the one
Joe
'cause you
too.
yeah, you had said you mentioned it.
So we
But
have met twice, right?
well, yeah, so that well,
You
3
came
times.
down
Oh, 2, yeah,
twice. Summer
post
2016,
post-cruise
that's a
twice. Yeah, 2016,
every time I think of summer
2018.
2016, I just think of Drake's
Oh,
show in
summer
Washington, D.C.
16, yeah, no.
That summer 16 tour was flames, man. That was
Yeah, I
unreal.
mean, this guy I gotta see live 100%. That's a big mistake I've made, 100%.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Mm,
totally. But
yeah.
yeah, oh my God, that's so funny that you met BJ and Brent. I
Yeah, I
speak to
mean, we had an
BJ
incredible
all
evening.
the
Yeah,
time. I speak to BJ all the time. She's like one of
yeah.
my closest friends. I love her
Yeah,
so
I mean,
much.
that one we'll talk a little more after, like, we wrap up, but I do wanna ask what's next for Melody? You are going on a trip, maybe you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm literally leaving tomorrow, like at 5 a.m. to go to Scotland. I'm going to Glasgow, and then I'm going to take the train up to Edinburgh. Um, I'm actually, this is a spontaneous trip. I've been saying actually for like since the past couple months, I've been saying that I'm going to take a trip in April or May, and then it's actually Ramadan right now in the
Yeah, it is,
UAE, or
yeah,
well, it's Ramadan around the world, I
everywhere.
guess.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit slower right now, like just in general, like Dubai's a little bit more quiet. And so I just thought it was the perfect time. One of my closest friends, she's from Glasgow. So she's a Scottish gal.
Mhm.
And I was actually meant to go home with her for Christmas, but that kind of fell through. And literally like last week, because I've been saying I want to go on a trip and I was going to book something anyways. And she was like, why don't you just come with me? I'm going like back. So I booked a flight and here we go. So I'm actually going with her. But she's going back for a wedding. So she has like family commitments, but I am excited. It's totally fine because I'm like, I will go explore by myself.
Yeah.
And then I also, because like due to living out in Dubai and meeting so many different people and I really do try to maintain like connections.
Mhm.
One of my really good friends, her name's Lara. She also lives out in Scotland. I'm going to go meet her. And then I do have some friends up in Edinburgh. So I'm going to go by myself, I think, up to Edinburgh and go obviously explore and then probably meet up with them. But I'm so excited. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
it's wild because I've been like, it's like a joke. Like, I've been adopted by the Scots, I feel like, out here. So I'm finally going to like see the land of the
Yeah.
Scots.
If you get the Scottish accent, then I think you're golden because I was just
Oh,
being with
yeah.
family, and I mean, that's Scottish accent is just, I mean,
Slight
so
work. It's nothing now. I remember, you know what's funny is I told Kay this, like the girl I'm going with to Scotland tomorrow. I told her like I remember the day that I met her, and I remember thinking, what the hell is this girl saying? Like
well,
she has the
that's true
strongest
too. You can
I've ever
barely
heard in my
understand them, yeah.
yeah, but now it's like I don't even clock her accent now. It's like I'm just so used to it. If I hear an American accent, I'm like, oh my God, this is
It's you.
wild.
There's another
Like
one,
that's
yeah.
weird for me.
Well, it
So
looks like the adventure bug does not stop, which hopefully never
yeah.
sto I mean, one day it'll stop, but until that day,
And
continue and
I'm a very spontaneous person too. Like I almost prefer that I booked this last week and I'm just going. So I don't have too much. Even like my last solo trip to Europe that I did in August,
Yep.
I had a one-way flight booked to Milan in Italy.
Well, yeah,
And
that's I remember that one-way flight.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had a one-way flight booked. I had no idea what I was doing. I went to Milan. I ended up staying there for 3 days. I ended up taking the train up to Switzerland, and then I was like, "Where do I want to go from here?" I love Italy. Like I have an
Oh,
attachment to
Italy
it.
is my favorite
I
country too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm half Italian. I don't know. My mom
Oh,
is
I didn't know
my
that. Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
my mom is 100% Italian, like 100%. So I am half Italian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's awesome, yeah.
I have family there as well. I've actually gone to see them a few years back, and I
Mm.
met them multiple times though, because they've come to the States when I lived there. But yeah, I took a train up to Switzerland, and then after that, I was like, I just love Italy. I want to go back to Italy, so I
Yep.
ended up going to Bologna, and then my first solo European trip that I did, I think it was 2019. I went on this wine tour in Florence because I'm a
Oof.
wine connoisseur. This is one thing I can't wait for Scotland. I cannot wait for the grape. Oh my God, I cannot
They have good
wait.
wine in
But
Scotland?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
mean, that'll be cool. I
I've
didn't
been
know that.
told at least. I mean, the
Yeah.
Scottish culture is literally just drinking. So here we go.
So there you
I've been
go.
detoxing, so I probably should have been building up my tolerance the past few days, but here we go.
Mm.
It is what it
Yeah.
is. Ready for anything. But
Yep. Mhm.
I actually went on this in Florence. I went on this solo or this wine tour out of Tuscany, and it was like dedicated to solo travelers. And I made friends with people on this trip that I still keep, or on that wine tour that I still keep in contact with. And actually, the girl that I met on that trip, she was from New Zealand, and she was the one. And I never knew this. All my travels, I never knew that you could like get a visa and go live in another country. She was the
Yeah.
one that told me. And I remember this was in 2019. And I remember after Florence, I went down to Rome. And I remember the day I was sitting in my hotel room in Rome, and there was like the wildest epiphany that came over me. And I remember I grabbed my phone, texted my mom, and I was like, I'm moving to another country. And she was like, go for it.
Mm.
Parents are always so supportive of everything I
Right.
do, which I'm so grateful for.
Right.
But anyways, so I wanted to go on the same wine tour because I had such a good experience. So I went back to Tuscany and Florence. And then from there, I ended up flying to Amsterdam, and I keep in contact with another girl that I met in Dubai who moved back to Dublin. She's an Irish girl. Her name's Rachel, and I was like, "Do you want to meet me in Amsterdam?" So I ended up staying in Amsterdam for one night by myself, and then we stayed together for 2 nights, which was fun. Also, just nice to like catch up and
Mhm.
like keep in contact with another friend. And then from Amsterdam, I have a weird attachment to Germany too. I don't know why. I love Germany so much. I was like, I just want to go back to Germany. So I went to
Mm.
Cologne and ended up extending my trip longer than expected. And then bought a trip, like literally the day before I came back to Dubai, I bought my plane ticket. I didn't have anything planned. I literally just took it day by day. So,
No.
and that's the kind of thing that I like to do. I don't like to
No, I mean,
overthink.
yeah, yeah.
I think if you overplan or overthink, you ruin things. Just honestly, wherever the river takes you, just flow.
Well,
That's how
I
I
lo
feel.
I look forward to the day when you're in your 80s and you're still doing this. That's gonna be exciting.
Oh my God. Yeah, honestly, like I'm all about it. You
I mean,
just
go, like, yeah, I
The
mean,
world is your
I
playground. It's
it is
true. Like
it's your playground,
life in
100%.
general.
Yeah, yeah, master your mind, and the world becomes your playground, or master something like
Yeah.
this. But yeah, once you're good up here, a lot of the other stuff falls in place. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of inspiring me now. I'm thinking, why am I still in DC? But that's
You
another
know, it's
conversation. But
crazy because
you know,
people also think that because of where I'm living, I mean, Dubai can be kind of a superficial place, and I'm the farthest thing from that. Like,
hmm,
I think people have a perception because of Dubai. They think of like all these, like, oh, Dubai girl is like a thing, etc. But I am honestly, I love to camp. I like to rough it. I like to stay in hostels. I backpack. I like less is more. Like, don't get me
hmm,
wrong. I like the nice thing here and there, but I am a very less is more. There's no joke. I'm not kidding.
yeah,
Last June, was it last May or June? I actually was like, I think I'm done with Dubai. Like, I don't know if this place is necessarily for me. It's kind of like I said, it's very like kind of shallow. Like I've found my place in it and I built my own life, and there's times where I love it, but there's also times where I'm like, I don't know why I'm here still, but at the moment
Mm.
I am loving it. And I was going to sell everything that I owned, everything, and I was going to go work on a vineyard in Italy. I was going to.
What
Literally, I
stopped
was going to
you? Oh
sell.
my god, that sounds like the
Yeah, I'm not
dream. The
joking.
only thing
This
that would
was
be
act-
better if
this was
that was in Capri. That's it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my
Because
God. Capri would be amazing. I've
that
not
that's
been to Capri.
paradise.
Love,
That's where I wanna retire if I ever do, that's my dream. Yeah.
I would love to go there. That is definitely a
We'll
place
party
on my
there when
list.
we're in our 70s, we'll do that. We'll go.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. Holler 100%. But I was going to, I would literally, I'm not even joking. I remember like I literally went as far as I was speaking to my aunt who lives in Italy. She works for the Italian government. And I remember I was so chill because I do believe like everything that's like what's meant for you won't miss you. Everything happens for a
Oof.
reason. I
Damn,
do
that's
believe
good. That is
that
really
if you
good.
want,
Wow.
yeah, if you want something,
Oof.
you do need to go out and get it. But equally, like what's meant for you absolutely will not miss you. That's fact. And
Wow.
I remember speaking to one of my friends and I was like, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then it's not meant for me and it's totally fine. Like genuinely like I was like flipping a dice. Whatever happens here happens. And because of COVID and the restrictions with the United States passport, I actually couldn't enter the country. My family actually tried because, like I said, she works for the Italian government. There's nothing that they could do. So I was like, okay, that's like God's way of telling me that I'm supposed to stay in Dubai. There's a reason. So I did, and I'm glad I did though because now I think in terms of like even my job, like I've never loved the job more. Like I love where I work. It's a very positive environment. I'm loving what
Mm.
I'm doing. Like I feel like I'm hanging out with my friends all day when I'm just doing their hair, and it's just I honestly it's great. Like everything really does happen for a reason.
Mm.
So, and I also think if you go in with like a mindset of just trust the process, like it just trust like the universe kind of like
Mm.
it will guide you. Like I think that if you're ever in a crossroads in life, just like look around you. Like I swear the earth will like it will show you signs. It will guide
Mm.
you. So
What's meant for you will not miss you. That one,
yeah,
that's really incredible. Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
That's really
But
sick.
even
I
in that
really had to write that.
like that situation, like the moral of all of that was I was going to just go live on a vineyard and just
Yeah.
literally like make wine. Like how fire would that be? I think it like simplicity is key. Like I do like the here and there like big extravagant thing, but I'm so like honestly, I think I could like live in a tent. I swear I could. I'm a hippie. Like it's the craziest
Maybe you
thing.
could. Maybe you could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you
Like
could.
I'm inspired by travels, not things, not money, not
Mm.
items, nothing materialistic. Like it's yeah, the furthest
Beautiful.
thing.
No, I
Which is
mean,
one reason
beautifully
why I
said.
said sometimes I wonder if I belong here because Dubai is very much that, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it could be your home base, and then you could dabble in other areas and stuff like that.
That's the plan. That
Yeah, I
is the
mean,
plan.
that's what I'm trying to work on as well, but, I mean, really just what's meant for you will not miss you, that I think that may be the title because that was so fire, that was incredible.
Oh my God,
I
absolutely.
love
Please
that. Well, I
title.
mean, it's a similar saying, right? That it's if it's meant to be, it'll come or something like that. But what's meant for you will not miss you, meaning that there's kind of searching. It's sort of this mutual searching and yearning for one another, right? Maybe your purpose or your destiny, let's say, and yourself, and how do they kind of cross and meet in the middle? So that's
Exactly.
really powerful. I really like that a lot. That's great.
Yeah.
Where do people find you if they want to connect with you or hear about your travels?
Oh,
And
um,
where's your place in Dubai? If they are ever in Dubai and need to do their hair, where do they go?
oh, the salon. It's called literally. It's called the Salon Dubai. We're massive out here too. Like it
Mm,
is the place to be. Trust me. Like the salon is. We have 11 locations. I'm located in JBR,
okay.
with JBR Beach Residences. Like there's like little like communities like within Dubai, if that makes sense. So JBR. Um, and then my Instagram is all things Melody. That's pretty much the only social media that I have.
Right.
I have Facebook, but that's for family. So
Yeah, it's funny because like all of them are so different. Facebook's like family and church and
yeah.
grandparents. Instagram sort of like you just show what's going on.
Yeah, I'm pretty like active on the Instagram stories. I don't really post on the grid much, but
The grid. Wow. I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever heard anyone call it that. I mean, you're right.
Really?
Well, you're right. You're accurate. It is the grid form where it's the 3 pictures, right? Like in a row. So you're right. I've never heard someone say that. Literally, I don't think ever,
Really? You
actually.
know what's so crazy? There's so many like sayings, and I know that I keep bringing this up, but like there's so many cultures out here that I feel like I could go anywhere in the world and someone could speak to me and say, like, make a comment like in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of it. There's so many examples I can't even like the other day I was saying, speaking to a friend, and I was like, oh, they're going on about that. And it's like, that's, I wouldn't say, or having a go. Like, if someone's
Oh,
like
having
having
to
a go
go.
at
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's like not
Right.
a statement that I would say, but I understand it. And there's
Mm. Yeah.
like I'm very cultured, I think is what I'm trying to
Yeah, yeah,
say.
yeah.
I'm
You're
cultured.
able to understand someone when they're speaking maybe the same like language, English, but even the slang, you kind of are able to connect based off your
Yeah,
experience traveling. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Or even like I'm gonna pick you up. Like one of my friends the other day was like, if I said that I'm gonna come pick you up, that means I'm gonna physically lift you in the air.
Whoa, whoa,
She's like, I
whoa!
wouldn't
No way.
say
So what?
yes, yes, like just different expressions and
That's
sayings. It's so
wild.
funny.
That's wild. Wow. Okay, that is very wild. I wouldn't think that either. But exactly to the point where there's different ways to kind of you're saying the same thing, but you're not saying it. But if you're aware enough, you kind of get the idea of what they're trying to communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's very beautiful. Wow, I mean, this got deep pretty quick. First, what's meant for you will not miss you, and then now we're talking language. Okay, here. I mean,
I mean, honestly.
now we're getting meta. Now we're getting meta. Well, then we'll say just before we conclude, gratitude. Just want to say, Melody, thanks for being just awesome. Someone throughout this journey of life, the past 6 years, well, or 8 years, right? It was about 8 years.
Eight, almost, I'm almost 29. This is crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. And
And
the
I
cruise was in the
100%,
summer. Yeah,
I was 20 whenever I met you for sure, because I remember when we went on the cruise, the
yeah.
legal drinking age in America is 21, and I couldn't get the alcohol package, and I was so upset about it
Mm,
because I was
mm.
like, oh, when you're 21 and you
Well,
just
it's
want to
it's
like drink.
it's funny because when me and my friend did, I mean, it's international waters, so different rules kind of. We didn't get this package, but we ended up staying in the same room. And you open up the wine bar or whatever, you say, "Oh my gosh, all these free drinks! This is so great!"
Yeah.
And we go through it, and then at the end, my friend's dad goes, "Dude, what is this $850 bill? Where did this come from?"
Oh my God, yes. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
literally.
I
So
remember Amanda bringing like buying us rounds too. My mom was like fuming because she's like racked up a huge bill or something like
yeah, it's
that.
tough. It's
Oh my
tough.
God, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, there's so much
So
we can dive in. Yeah. No, but it's true. Like,
yeah,
thanks for just, I mean, continuously being self-reflective and finding ways to take that leap and not letting society constrain you or your upbringing and stuff like that. And being focused, like tunnel vision, but receptive towards things that come from your sides. Like you have a focus,
completely,
although you're receptive towards other ideas, which beautiful. I love that. So appreciate it.
absolutely.
Thanks a bunch for this one. And then we conclude with the last bit is what is a nugget of wisdom? And a little last bit of advice. If you had to give someone, it's your last day on earth. You have this one nugget of wisdom to give to someone so that they can elevate their lives and become mythologically incredible like Zeus, the character. What would you say?
Listen to your mother. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. I mean, if you want to keep your hair, please do.
I mean,
If you want to
honestly,
keep your hair, then
that
yeah.
is definitely one. Oh my. Last, if it was like my last day on earth.
And it read it on your, let's say on your tombstone. You give one nugget of wisdom, one last message you want to share. What would you say?
On my tombstone. Oh my
Or if you're going to
goodness.
be cremated, a message that could be broadcasted by a helicopter on something like this. I don't know. Something like that.
I feel like it's like I hate these cliche sayings, but I just feel
Yeah.
like be yourself and follow your heart, honestly. Or
Yeah.
maybe just what's for you won't miss you, because I do believe in that.
That one, I think you should write a book for this. What's meant for you will not miss you.
Yes,
That is
this
so great.
I need to actually say this because I think I told you that I started journaling in
Yeah,
January
you did.
2021.
Yeah.
I love to write. This is something that I've only discovered like last year is I love to write, and I have so many thoughts all the time, so many things, and I feel like me writing it down, I can just expand on that. And
Yeah.
I've very seriously considered writing a book about my life.
Mm.
Like very seriously, I've considered doing this, especially like, or just my experience in Dubai, because I could literally write a book on my experience here from start to finish, and it would
Mm.
be intriguing, I feel like, for so many people.
Yeah. Some
So
people wanna make that jump and maybe not to Dubai, but just go somewhere else, and they have a family, or there's some story they tell themselves as to why they're not taking that decision or going for something like that. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
go for it. Definitely go for it.
yeah,
This is where it's built. So we'll say, "What's meant for you will not miss you." Is that the nugget we can leave with?
yes,
Beautifully
absolutely. I think that's
said.
perfect, actually.
Yeah, I mean, really, what's meant for you won't miss you. I love it. Well, Miss Melody, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and until next time, Zeus with Bruce. Bye, everybody.
Bye.